figured for this first episode that we would like interview each other, which I actually think is
Are
a
we
really
recording
good idea.
for the podcast, or are we right now just doing it for my video?
Oh, I just
What
hit
are we
record.
in right now? What world are we in?
Podcast story. That is just so me in a nutshell.
All right.
Where am I right now?
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Candace.
And welcome to Don't Start.
And as we like to say, don't start.
Candace, save it for the show.
Exactly. So let's get to it.
This is going to be our introduction, introducing Sarah and Candace to the world of podcast land.
I have a podcast line where everyone has a freaking podcast. But
And
here's the
so
thing.
do we.
And now we do, which actually makes me feel really excited because I felt like we were missing out. And now I don't feel like we're missing out anymore. So
FOMO?
FOMO.
Did you have FOMO podcast
I
feelings?
Did. I did because I was like, oh crap, everyone's talking their piece and I want to talk into a microphone.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean,
It makes
just
you
so
feel
ridiculous.
powerful.
Yeah, see, that's the problem with this world. You give someone a microphone and they think they know what they're talking about. Let me just put
Oh,
we
she's
don't
gonna
know.
hold on. She's gonna give a speech right now. I feel a spiel coming on.
Here's my spiel. Just because we have a microphone, we have no idea what we're doing. I should just say that in all aspects of life. Like any advice I personally will give our listeners, don't listen to me.
No, that's wrong. I appreciate that because I feel the same way. I am not an expert.
No.
I have life experiences in the
Sure.
industry that we've been in for a long time,
Yes.
which we're going to get to
Yes.
today. I'm going to present my experiences, and you can take what you will from it.
100%.
I did get my master's in TV and media management.
That is so exciting to me.
So I am a master
At
of what?
something.
Of something.
I think that's amazing.
But we're happy you're with us today.
Yes.
And so we wanted to present a getting to know us. You could schmagoogle us.
Oh my God, you said schmagoogle. That's freaking hilarious.
There will be Yiddish in this podcast. I don't know if that's Yiddish, to be quite honest. I think
not.
it's just my own made-up
It's
word.
not, but I love it.
From the Northeast.
I love
And I thought it'd be cool for us to kind of, as much as we've known each other for years. And we can literally talk about anything and everything. I feel pretty comfortable about that.
Yep.
I think there's stuff that we like. I think we would still love to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. If you don't know the reference,
I'm so sorry. If
welcome
you don't
to
know
the
reference.
theater world.
So let's do some basic facts. Here's some basic facts about me. I am a firstborn child, so I have a lot of trauma triggered around firstborn.
I can feel that.
I'm just kidding. I'm the eldest daughter. I have a younger sister. Her name's Kelly. She's lovely and crazy at the same time. I come from a family of crazy Italians. I like to use the word crazy a lot because they are. We're loud. We're always filled with hundreds of people at a holiday. I grew up in Staten Island. I'm a daughter of wonderful parents who, my father is a retired car salesman and auto body mechanic, and my mom is a retired school teacher. I come from a family of teachers. They're wonderful. I am married to Tom. I have a little boy. He's just turned 1, so I'm a new mom. Be kind to me. My emotional state is being held together by popsicle sticks.
I see a safety pin.
Safety pin. And obviously I'm in the entertainment business, but we'll talk about that further. And I have a dog named Cannoli.
Yay, I love cannolis.
Sarah, what about you?
I feel like there's a lot of pressure when you're talking about who you are.
Basic
and your
facts.
basics. Okay. I'm sweating.
I know, I see it.
I think I might be rosy. And here we go. I am Sarah Schreiber, Sarah Elizabeth Ann Schreiber. My full name spells C's.
Love it.
I'm really not doing good with basics. I'm from Nutley, New Jersey, where Martha Stewart also was raised. Mom and dad, retired teacher, retired police officer. Brother is a doctor of pharmacy in the emergency room.
Love it.
Grew up doing theater my whole life. I have a fiance of 3 years. We've been engaged 3 years, been together 7 years. He is a surfer, merman, brewer. He works at Kane Brewing. He's a production manager there. We'll get to more of this. And I'm Sarah, and I wear many hats.
And now that we're sort of in this area of life where it's messy this time in life.
And
in
by this
all
time,
ways.
Candace,
Yes.
what do you mean by this time? Because I think this is so much of the reason why you and I got into doing this podcast, obviously for the power of the mic, but I know it was something we were both very passionate about because we felt this in all of our experiences in this stage of life.
Yes. Personally, I just feel that we're in these moments of having gone through a lot of stuff, physically, mentally, and also it's a time where we're actually allowed to talk about female stuff. And I don't just mean health. I don't just mean, careers, but I just mean all of it. I think we're in this place where speech is this whole new medium of, you could just pop us into your ears and go for a run and just listen to two crazy women.
Gosh.
I'm so sorry if that's what you're doing right now. Just so you know,
got this.
I will never be running.
Candace and Sarah are here to say, you have this. Keep running.
I will never
We'll be
running.
inspirational talk for running when we don't run.
Sarah will. I'm just running if you're chasing me. But I will say that. So that excites me. And also, like, to share all these things with people. We often say this to each other. We're like, oh my God, I have this great thing. I wish I can share it. I mean, yeah, we'll share it with each other. But like these great experiences or these traumatic experiences that I want to help others and we want to, inform others you're not alone. And that is really important.
I think that's right. That's exactly why I know with our relationship, like we said, we talk about all different things. And I feel like at this part in my life, all of a sudden, a lot of things, there's 20s and 30s are thrilling, right? There's naivety. Yeah. There's selfishness. Yes. It's a beautiful thing. And then you hit this wall of like reality coming in. Mm-hmm. And not saying this isn't just as exciting and beautiful, but sometimes it's really hard. Yeah. And we're talking about whether you become a parent or you're dealing with parents, whether it's grief, whether it's health, whether it's just like, just moving around, changes in careers. I think there's this conversation that I think we're lacking out there in the public. And so Sarah and Candace are now your voices of that era. Shit. No, we just want to put it out there, and I hope you guys get as involved in this as well. Like,
yes.
Whether it's on social media and on the YouTube, Instagram, we love questions.
We'll
create the conversation.
We'll send. Oh my God, I was just going to say.
Where are you going to send it?
I don't know what I'm sending.
Post office?
We'll send you all those handles, I was going to say. We'll share those handles. But I think, too, it's like we're such good friends, but like we're also so good, and I'm not tapping us on the back here and being like, ha, ha, ha. But we're so good at being connected to other people that we don't know. So, like, if we meet someone, I feel like I can connect with someone instantly if they're going through something, and you too. And I feel like that is something that this podcast will do for others. So I hope we can unite a bunch of people, men and women, because that's exciting.
I love that. But ironically, I think you're going to get a kick. I had therapy today.
Oh, good.
And,
so you're in the place.
And so I am in the place, guys.
Good, help me out.
So the humor of it is that I was asked to disconnect a little bit. So we're talking about, because I think, and what it
knows nothing. No,
the funny, because I really do want to engage in every conversation, and every conversation does not need to be engaged in, even though I love it. And I think it's natural in our backgrounds, acting, in entertainment, but also like for the last over a decade, I've been a host. And so like, you think about hosting even a TV host, but even if you think about hosting an event at your house, the number one thing is to engage with the people there. So honestly. I think that I put so much into connecting with people, even that sometimes I'm disheartened when I don't get the same response.
I think a lot of people are like that.
So I think that's hysterical. But I cannot wait to connect with you guys. Obviously, I love it. It's in my nature. I think I get emotionally involved and have expectations in people. And so anyway, it's protection of my...
I get it.
Even though we're armored and we're from the Northeast, I always say this, I have this armor on, but inside it's very mushy.
No, we're empaths.
Yes.
That's what they call them, right? That's what they call us.
I'm an empath.
Empath. You take on other people's junk. I do. I walk in a room and I do. And I think that has a lot to do with, I don't know, maybe our upbringings and stuff like that. And we can chat about that. But for sure, I know that when I perform and at the end of every performance, every theater who's ever booked me will ask the same question. Are you going to do a meet and greet before or after the show? And I'll say, sure. And their version of a meet and greet is me behind a table shaking everyone's hand. My version of a meet and greet is running up to the audience and hugging 600 people, which then, of course, I usually get sick after every show. But it's like, that's just because you feel like we've just had a theater experience together. We just shared some stories or whatever it is. So I'm hugging 600 people. But anyway, that's just a New York thing, I think. We just we feel like we know each other and done.
And that is a great place to start because I think you just revealed a lot about yourself all in that story, right?
Yeah.
No, and a beautiful thing. Your background of being Italian.
Yes.
So that's in itself like big family, wanting to be with, and I'll let you speak for yourself. But even like your one woman show, if you want to talk to that, and if people don't know that are listening,
Sure.
slow down. You don't just get on stage. You're going on stage by yourself, which is one of the most, first of all, that's intimidating.
It was in the beginning.
Yeah.
I will say now, my husband asked me that recently. He was like, remember when you first tried it? I'm like, oh, right. Like I came from a theater background, much like you, where the whole point of doing a theatrical show or a musical was to be on stage with 10 to 15 people dancing and singing. And then if you have a solo moment, it's great. But when everyone leaves that stage and it is just you and you forget a line and you can't look to someone and be like, it's your line. And it's like, shit, it's me again. It's me again. You know, that for the first year, for at least a year, was trippy.
But here's the thing with you doing a one woman show, you're the only person that knows that happened.
Maybe. Yeah.
Other than Tom.
Other than my husband, who's like, get it together. It's true though. Yeah. And it's wonderful and I love it, but it's also something that I never thought I would do this long. I know that sounds crazy. I never thought I would do it. I'm now writing more shows in that vein, in that genre. And I'm like, oh wow, I guess this is my thing, where I didn't know if that was going to be my thing.
Okay. Can we get a little plug for the show?
Oh yeah, it's called Italian Bread.
And how long have you been doing it?
Oh God. I'm going to say I started, I'm going to say almost 10 years. I'm only touring for 7 years. And that's with COVID in between. So we can't even count.
10 years.
10 years of working on the materials.
That's outrageous.
You know, because I started writing the show in 2013, I think. 14 maybe. And then I did get an off-Broadway run and stuff like that. I'm sorry if I'm flubbing on dates. My brain is shot. But it's
we'll research it.
Thank you. Someone fact check me. Excuse me, producer, that we don't have.
Wikipedia.
Can you fact check us? Yeah. I will say that the best part was the beginning stages of writing it. I remember that. That was fun. And I would get up in comedy clubs and try to do.
Oh my gosh, you did?
Yeah, it was awful. It was not for me. That's how I knew.
Sorry, I just got I could
Have
feel.
You tried it?
No, I felt it in my chest though. So
Yeah,
when
you
you
got a
talked
little
about,
heart attack.
well, I think there's a dare about getting up on stage by yourself.
That's
right?
a dare within itself, sure.
But then to go into the comedy I was talking about with Chad, my fiance, and it was in an Uber, and the guy was trying to pitch me a comedy show locally, and he's like, "You like comedy?" And I was like, "Actually, I don't think I do like comedy shows. I don't like being told I need to laugh,
It's
and
hard.
then putting the pressure on that person."
Totally hard.
I also dated a comedian in Los Angeles, and once that happened, I was pretty good with.
Oh yeah, I remember that guy.
Oh yeah, all right.
It's actually kind of famous.
But anywho, so I wanted to, going back to your story, I wanted to talk about, because I think this is an interesting pivot in life that happens when you don't expect it. Finding out that maybe the one woman show is really, that is your bread and butter, you as a writer, you as a creator, you as a producer. So you doing everything for you, and obviously Tom, as well being there as an incredible supportive partner, which is another whole conversation of how important that is. But auditioning in New York and getting so close and TV and film and having these opportunities, but then all of a sudden creating your own success was probably a huge aha moment for you. Yeah. I don't know. What's the story?
No, that's a great question. And also, I remember the aha moment. The aha moment for me was, I don't remember the date, but I can tell you that I was called back multiple times for this well-known musical, over and over and over and over. And the writer and director and everything had me the last...
Was that Gypsy?
Yeah.
I knew it. I remember.
And I got
We could do the show right here.
I'm going to do it here.
With your one-woman show, you do great impersonations. Well, guess what? This can be a two-woman duet of Gypsy.
It's one of my favorite shows. And now it's back on Broadway, which is hilarious to me.
Audra.
I love it. But I remember that moment because I had several callbacks, as you had in the past, with those moments of New York callbacks. If you don't understand what that is, that means you get called back within a matter of seconds, and then it's also you're preparing for these callbacks for 2 to 3 weeks back and forth, and it was I'm gonna say 6 or 7 rounds. So I went through a lot, and I was like, I think I'm gonna get this.
And early on in your career, our career, or in your career in this industry, what was the weight on me was always like, this can change my trajectory in life.
Yes.
This can change my life.
Correct.
But also accomplishing Broadway is always that
It's
peak.
that thing that you want to do,
That-
right?
yes.
You're also mentally trained
There's
for it.
so much weight on
There's
that.
a lot of weight. And I was like, I think I'm going to get this. Also, there was another one that did it to me too. It was Jersey Boys. I was like, I think I'm going to get this. I think I'm going to get this.
Also, we easily could do that as a duet as well.
Which we might one day. And I was like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And I ended up losing the part to actually a really good friend. So it's wonderful, but it was just me and her. But it was weird because the reason I lost it in the moment was because of a physical thing. And it happened about 3 or 4 times with 3 or 4 different Broadway shows. And I was like, oh my God, it's coming down to something physical. Her height. I was too curvy at one point. And that was a big thing. You know, I had a casting director who's very lovely. I won't say her name, but she actually literally flat out said in front of the room, it's not. No, she's lovely. But
no,
she went,
I know, but in front of a whole room.
a whole room of people. This is what she said. She just said, "You're pulling focus. You're pulling focus because of your physical and genetic makeup."
And then you stood up and just shimmied.
I cannot put you.
You're like, all right, take it
I
in. So I need to be the star, is what she
literally
said.
like, I cannot put you in an ensemble of women. And I thought, okay, I know I have a curvy body. I also know I had a big butt. I still do, but it was like, I was proud of it. But then there was the moment where I was
sorry.
You respect it.
I respect that butt.
But then there's that moment when you're like a 20-year-old. I'm going to call it a kid, but when you're in your 20s, when you're like, shit, how do I change this? So then I kind of went into the place of, how do I change me? And that didn't work because you can't change you. I can't change my physical appearance.
That hurts my heart.
Yeah, it was bad.
I really I felt that.
But those were my aha moments, those changes that I was like, I guess I'm trying to change myself, and that's a bad idea. And so I did for a bit, and then it wasn't working.
Well, that's something I wish to go back to our younger selves, right?
That's what I would tell her,
I mean, we've always been authentically ourselves.
Yeah. 100%.
It's very hard not to. However, you do put your head on the pillow and you think, you're in the room thinking about all the things that you can change.
That's how I was trying to figure out.
Do Spanx fix it?
I
swear by Spanx. So like,
are you kidding me? I lived in them even when I was pregnant. They're like, you're wearing Spanx when you're pregnant. I'm like, yes, I live in them.
My mother,
that is true.
My first prom, like, welcomed me to the world of womanhood. She was like, here you go. Yeah, and I was like, what are these amazing things? I can't breathe.
Mom, Barbara was always tummy controls.
Oh my God.
But it's true. Like those moments, I think, add up. And then it makes, like you said, it changes your trajectory.
It basically broke you down to then open your eyes.
It broke me down.
In a like mild. We're not completely broken, but to lose your essence, what made you special, walking into the room, being told that you should be like everybody else.
In those moments, in that where theater was at that time, yes, I was being told
entertainment in general, right?
You don't blend, so I can't give you your first shot in an ensemble.
Yeah.
You don't blend. And that's what was coming over my head repeatedly. 3 or 4 Broadway shows, and making it down to the last 2 women every time. So then, my husband had a moment with me. We weren't married yet, but he was like, he was done with the business, and he worked so much because he was a guy. Yeah. I'm not dumbing down his talent.
No.
But he would say that to me. He's like, where there's 50 women in a group 1, there's 50 guys total, and there's like 8 or 9 groups of women of 50s, So he would say, like, I'm a guy, there's less of me. But
man, we got to flip that in every business. Ladies, where you at?
Gosh. And I think, he's, was super talented and still is. I just think he had a moment of like, I'm walking away, fully working as an actor, and I was just trying to work. Yeah. And I was getting jobs, just not the Broadway level. So I think that was the moment when he turned to me and he was like, why are you staying in an industry that's trying to dim your light? And I was like, oh, but
stop, don't run that. Let's go back. We got to run back. Run that back because it's a beautiful statement. And also coming from your husband. Say it one more time.
Don't be in an industry that's trying to dim your light.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love the industry in all ways, as you do, right? I love performing. I love theater. I love television. I love all these things. I love movies. And I thought to myself, well, I'll write a show for myself.
Yeah. To celebrate every curve my curve in my story, curve in my body.
And I make jokes about that.
And now you're a fluorescent light.
Now I'm a huge freaking light. But yeah, it's the truth. So that was my big turning point. But I want to ask you now that we're on this topic.
Oh.
Because you as well.
Yeah.
grew up more than me in entertainment. You started as a kid. I didn't start till I was gonna say at least 16, 17, figuring out like how to sing and dance. And dancing, yes, but singing and theater, that was new for me. But you grew up as a baby in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one of my first
baby.
yeah, one of my first auditions. I think I told you this. I remember clearly was for a Hershey Kiss commercial, and I was going in and the kid before me wet the couch. I didn't book that job. Maybe he threw me. Maybe that was a tactic. And maybe that kid booked it. But no, I grew up 10 miles from New York. I could see the skyline from my bedroom window.
Oh, I love it.
I couldn't. You have to get outside. But you could see this. You could see it from Route 3. You know.
See it from Route 3.
So, 10 miles from the city. My dad's retired cop from Seacock. His mom's retired teacher. And Patricia Schreiber knew what I guess she wanted to place me, and they couldn't. My parents had me in everything under the sun.
That's wonderful.
I was a kid that just had lots of energy, and my mom was like, okay, she needs extracurricular at all times. But it was weird. And talking about even like that, I wish I can go back and have the fire I had as a kid that the light wasn't necessarily dimmed by whatever society or just other kids, or I just had a weird like confidence to speak out, to like moonwalk across the stage during Heal the World in choir. Why I did that? I thought I was good at moonwalking.
But you still have that. So that's how I met you, being like, she's the girl in the audition that when the choreographer's doing the routine, you remember you used to laugh. And I was like, I love that you're laughing, like full out, like being like, I screwed up. Like you would laugh. And I was like, I'm going to go with her. And I would like just
goodness.
And that's how we
It
met.
wasn't because I was laughing at the person in charge, I hope.
No,
but I think I
just had this essence about you.
Well, I mean, we're dancing to music. Like we're not changing the world.
No,
and that's we're not. And that's something my brother working in the emergency room as emergency medicine.
That's
I'm
right.
like, and my dad being a police officer, and it's just like seeing real things and realizing like we are singing and dancing, or
Yes.
whether I'm in sports entertainment, or we are ever scripted and it's fake. Oh, I'm not allowed to say that word, but we are in television entertainment, right?
Why aren't you allowed to say that word?
You're not allowed to say wrestling is fake.
Oh.
All right. So Sarah works for sports entertainment, WWE,
Sarah
for the
has
last
an
7
amazing
years.
job.
And I
We'll get to that.
I didn't mean to be in third person. But what I would say for me is one of the aha moments I had loving theater for so long, it hurt going into business. It hurt coming out of college. I always wanted to go big or go home. So I always stayed in New York when I could have taken jobs. So we're outside. Yes. I got opportunities on tours that are international. Yes. And I was like, I'm from Jersey. I've been auditioning a while. I'm going to stay right here.
That's it. Broadway.
Yeah.
I get
so I think if I can go back in time, I would have I would have known better.
That's a good
because I think the biggest thing you could do in any industry, but specifically entertainment industry, is networking. And one job leads to the next. Which I didn't realize till I moved to California.
I totally agree with that. I didn't realize that until I got a little older. I'm not saying our parents didn't set us up right with that mentality, but my parents set me up.
Thinks I could go to the moon right now if I want, like Katy Perry.
I love that. Let's not talk about that. Kiss the ground when you come out. But like my mom and dad were just like, put your head down, work hard, someone will find you, right? Like,
yes.
So that energy is still wonderful.
And that's that generation.
You got to play the game a little bit, and I didn't play it enough. I didn't understand it. I actually still don't. I'm in it and successful, and I still don't.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to even sit here and say, "Oh, I'm successful," but like I've been able to do it, and I still don't understand it. It's still confusing to me. But I think there's a level of playing the game that is a part of the world of entertainment in a nutshell.
It's the game of life.
It is. Oh, gosh.
And you just really have to. You got to be good at it.
I have a question.
Can I just finish my thought? Sorry.
Yes.
I just want to finish my thought because I was going to say when I had my heart in my sleeve as in musical theater, because I loved it so much. That one, I I felt the business took my light. I felt it. I walked in and I said, I don't feel like myself walking in anymore. And that's when I moved to California and I was like, I need some sunshine. I need to get in my convertible and drive to an audition and throw my snail bag from Pounding the Pavement in New York in my trunk. And it was a softer way of life out in California in a sort of way. New York has
worked.
Yeah, but I would say that the thing that was the aha moment for me was, of course I get these co-star jobs on TV, which would be like a couple liner, which is nameless part, and they would still be amazing.
Amazing.
I did a commercial, a Russian commercial with Bruce Willis doing my own stunts, at Warner
You looked
Brothers
so
lot.
hot in that commercial.
Oh,
I loved
thanks.
it.
But
hanging off the side of a building.
yeah, but what I realized is like you keep trying to go through the lock door, keep pushing through that door, and you're hitting these walls, and you don't realize there's another door on the on the other side.
Yes,
that's like,
yes,
hey, come this way. And I think kind of like you
Yes.
doing the one woman show
Yes.
was when all of a sudden I started getting these like TV hosting jobs opportunities of like people just like be yourself, be passionate about a product, an event, or asking questions and interviews. And I was like, wait, you want just me? So instead of acting like a part, and so that's where I got into the hosting world, where I had to pivot at like, I would say that probably was like early 30s, and probably
I feel
similar
like-
to you, right? The
yes.
10-year.
Absolutely. I don't remember what newspaper, I'm going to say newspaper, like I'm 100 years old. I don't remember what trade it was, but I did an interview where someone asked me sort of the similar question. And I remember thinking the same thing, and I said it out loud, and I'm probably quoted somewhere ridiculous about it. But it was that I just didn't want to waste my best years standing in line trying to fit a mold. And I feel that's exactly what you felt and like pivoted. Like you're like, I don't want to just waste my 30s, which are really a wonderful time because now you're coming into yourself, right? Your 20s, you're kind of people pleasing through that. And then to sit there and now be this host where it's you. I'm tuning in to watch you. I'm tuning in to listen to you, which you have such a talent for, right? Like you're able to segue, which I can't do. Sarah will do it very well on the podcast. She'll segue into the next topic so elegantly. And I'm like, can we just talk about this? Like you have a skill that not everyone has.
That's very kind, because I would say I'm very much like, ooh, sparkly thing. And that's how my brain goes.
What is that cartoon with the squirrel? And it's like the dog.
Oh,
That's how I feel.
When
as a human.
where I had to stop you, I was like, wait, if I don't finish this thought. So I appreciate that. But it's funny because I actually feel differently than you with that topic of 2030s. 20s, I felt, like I said, there was this wild confidence of like, I don't need that job because Broadway's going to call. But then I would go in, but then I would put the pressure on myself for those big Broadway auditions and say, this can change my life. And that was hard for me to get over in my 20s. But then even like you said, waste time in your 30s. I was like, just, I don't know. I just was go in anything I can get in my 30s. And I felt like I didn't know how to say no in my 30s. So my 30s was like taking everything. Okay. And then the realization of because then I got HSN, and then I was going to England and India to learn about gemstones, and I had like a wild trajectory. I'm going to use trajectory multiple times, but like I couldn't write my book. Yeah, which is it's a crazy concept because I feel like so many people say to see what you want and and I always wanted what I wanted to be a performer, and I thought theater and things came into my life that were very unexpected. Yeah. I would never have thought I'd be doing home shopping. But meanwhile, my mother was the queen of HSN and gemstones. And I don't know how it happened in my life, but my mother was. We had gemstones coming to the house. And my mother would be there with a refractometer judging
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So it was kind of meant.
Yeah, there was something. And home shopping was its own interesting element to then go to sports entertainment. I would say it's a wild ride, and I can't wait to see what's next for sure. And obviously, we're doing it right now, right here.
Is there a regret that you have a big one that you're like, oh my God, this was a bad idea?
Yeah, I would say
have one, but
mine is career stuff, I think, more than anything. Because I really hold true that like we shouldn't have regrets. I lived this life. With the mistakes I made, it led to one thing to the next, whether in relationships. I mean, sorry, I was just giggling about. I was like, maybe be kinder and more patient with my parents.
Really? I feel like you're so kind.
No, my dad called me a firecracker, Pee-wee firecracker nut job in my brother's wedding speech. I love my parents. I love my family. I am loyal to them. I am who I am exactly who I am, because of how I was raised. But my biggest regret, I guess, would be, is not being the yes person in my 20s because I had an arrogance. Because 20s, you have this weird, beautiful arrogance that you can do anything.
I didn't, but I love that you did. Oh, I love it. Oh, I was like a people pleaser.
Yeah. So I feel like I had this, and it wasn't that I was a jerk, right?
Yeah.
This was just in my career. I said, I can do this. Yeah. I am capable.
I remember that girl. But there's a level of her that's still there that's so lovely about that.
Thanks. I think that, like, I wish I did more of the regional work that I was given.
Sure.
Where I was like, oh, they want her to be Peggy Sawyer and this, and I loved that role. I've played it before, or Sandy in Grease. I could have probably done those roles for a long time.
You could still do those roles.
But like there was like I could have toured in Germany for that. I could have done the Asian tour of a couple shows, and I got to go to all those amazing places with WWE. So it did come back, but I think I missed out on some of that. But I wouldn't be where I am right now.
100%.
I wouldn't be with you're. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It all depends. Sorry. It all depends on what your outlook is on life. Like, 100%. Would things, the sliding doors moment, would everything have brought us to us sitting here on the couch, even if we had those regrets? This is really profound.
Wow, this is super profound.
Does that make, the Gwyneth Paltrow movie about sliding doors, movie. How that moment can change things?
Yeah, they try to remake that movie over and over, and they're not going to. They shouldn't.
But a big theme, right? If you were to change things in Butterfly Effect, would you and I be sitting here?
I don't know. I mean, I got a lot of my strengths from watching people in my life. Like, for instance, I remember the day that I turned to Tom and was like, we need to go to LA. I'm going to go. Yeah. And I got that from you. And I know you may not believe that, but I remember, because every time I went to go visit, you were like, you're staying with me. And there was no...
It made me very happy that you drove the Mini Cooper and hung out with my dog Lola. I was like, yes, somebody else gets to enjoy the Mini Coupe.
But like, no one was as kind to me as you were. And I remember thinking, not only does she get me, but she gets what we're trying to do as people. I saw that in you, that I saw in myself. So I was like, okay, that's a great person. That's because I would do the same for someone if they asked, but not many people did. And this is going to kind of tie in with my regrets. Meaning, I trusted a lot of people early on in my life, and my regret would be I wish I saw through the trees in the forest.
Yeah, but that makes you smart in business, but also a good heart.
But I remember thinking that about you, being like, I see through the trees, and I see exactly who she is, wears her heart on her sleeve, and has this zest for life. She just went to LA, and I remember saying to Tom, "We're going," and he's like, "Wow." I'm like, Sarah did it, and she has a life there, and I think I would love it. I don't want to not experience it. So like a lot of
and did you love it?
I did. I freaking loved it.
I loved it too.
7 years. And I'm gonna go back. Like, but that's because of you, right? So there's certain people in my life that I was like, oh, I'm so glad I kept them, and then there's others. So that's a regret. Is like there's others where I'm like, crap, I can't believe I had you in my life for so long, or I had to deal with this person for so long, and I didn't see it quick enough. And the other regret I have, and it's something that I don't think I can. There's not a day that goes by that doesn't bother me. I got a perm in the 4th grade.
I got a perm in the 4th grade too. Bad. There's no picture evidence. Do you have picture evidence?
Of course I do. I'm going to burn it. It was so bad that till this day it bothers me. And here's why. I was chubby. I got a perm. And my best friend at the time, who I actually know till this day, she's a beautiful woman. She has 5 kids. She's amazing. Her name's Dana. I'm calling you out. She's like a 5'10" model. And growing up, she was this skinny
and did she get a perm too?
She got the perm as well.
And it looked spectacular?
And it didn't look spectacular on either of us, I'll say that. But because it wasn't spectacular. There's nothing about a perm
Dana,
that's spectacular.
We're calling you out.
But the thing that that drove me crazy was like, because we were the besties in class, they would call us the number 10. Dana, you probably don't remember this because I was short and fat and she was tall and skinny. and they would be like, the number 10s are coming. And because of the perm, they'd make dog barking noises because we look like poodles. It was bad. It was really bad.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
I have a lot of self-deprecation.
Well, I was going to say.
This is where all my comedy comes from.
But also, that's what I was going to say. The ferocity of being young and making choices.
So
and
bad.
then they're just, kids are mean.
It was bad.
And
It was
so
really
like
bad.
like I said with like I
so
did talent shows where I wouldn't choreograph anything and I'd walk out there as confident as possible and be like,
that's so lovely.
feeling hot, you're hot. But like that kind of attitude.
Sure.
You're like,
I did not
no
have
preparation.
that. But
I am the
that.
queen of dress rehearsals. I love a good dress
Yes,
rehearsal.
You do. Yes, you do.
It's just a beautiful thing.
It's
So now that I was like, I also got a perm because my mother did want me to cut my hair because I wanted to. And by the way, I wanted to tell you since I walked in here and I didn't start. Your hair looks beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I cut it
it's-
recently, everyone. It's been
It's just fits her perfectively.
thank you. Thank you.
Perfectively.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Not a real word. But so instead I got a perm and I don't know where those pictures are. I think my mother may have been like, oh, we made a bad
holding them.
choice. And she's just
That's
tucking
really
it.
nice. I'm holding mine hostage because I just don't know if they're gonna. They cannot get released anywhere. Everywhere. It's so bad.
Yeah. And thank goodness the internet was not invented yet.
Oh my God, no! It was so bad, and like you smelled like rotten eggs. Anyone who ever got a perm, remember the
Yes.
smell? Oh,
Yeah.
the smell was so bad.
I actually, and this could be a conversation about perm stories, is actually pretty funny. But I do think perms are back. Because I don't know if you've seen now. And then also the thing that I find wild, one of the styles is tight curls with tight curl bangs.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like,
no.
Curly hair with bangs is a terrifying thing. My hair is confused wavy.
Yeah.
And like I did bangs in college, which I cut myself in Miami. All of those statements are wrong. And
Those
like,
are a few
you
regrets
don't
right
cut
there.
yourself. Oh yeah, you don't cut your own hair.
Not
you
bangs.
don't think.
Oh, God.
And then Miami's so humid that like there's just no control over that hair.
No.
But see, you'll get some really heavy, beautiful conversations here, and we'll just talk about perms as well. Candace, you've been in a long relationship, beautiful
Yes,
relationship
yes,
with
very
your
long.
partner in life,
Yeah.
partner in business,
Yes, all the things.
partner in crime, parenting now. Any advice to someone? I mean, Chad and I have been together now 7 years, but any advice, like
time.
for everybody out there, relationships are tough. Relationships are beautiful. But talk to us about Tom and you.
Gosh, well, I'll say this. We met really young, like really young. I'm talking, I was 17 at the time. So I do remember very clearly meeting and us both having the same conversation, which was, oh crap, you're probably my soulmate, but this is early. I was expecting you 10 years from now. I remember that conversation because we both felt that.
We got to go back.
I
That's
know.
beautiful.
It's crazy.
But tell me that specific and like what the feeling was to you. At what age you say again?
See, I was 17.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, it was very specific. It was a very clear moment. We were in his dorm room. He was a year older than me in college. And I remember him literally being like, I don't want to break up. We weren't even together. And I remember joking, being like, but we're not together. He's like, but we are, this is it. And I'm like, I know, this is too soon. I need 10 years.
Were you this grounded when you had this conversation? I was such a frazzled mess
So,
with
you know what's
relations.
really
I might know career, but my relationships prior, like, and I've had a good roster.
So I haven't had a roster, which now, laughing about it as an adult, I'm like, shit, I did not date enough. But that doesn't mean anything. I think you have to sort of find your person. But
That's another episode we can talk
it's
about
a whole
all
other
that.
episode. So I'll just broad stroke over this.
No, don't brush.
Yeah, no, because we'll be here for 4 hours. Here's my broad stroke. I will say this. It was very early with that we met. I knew it instantly. I knew that, this is my forever person, but I'm not ready because I think I need to live, more. And he said the same thing. And
It was very smart and mature.
it was, but then we did the thing where we were like, yeah, we're going to go live. And then it didn't work. And then we decided we're going to just be a couple and we're going to be together. And it was wonderful and awful because we're 20 and it was too young. So we had to learn each other. We had to learn careers together. I still don't know how we did this because I do remember traumatic times. He was traveling on tour as an actor because he was, out of college and I was still in college. And that was very, very tough to sort of do that relationship. But then eventually we got a little older and we just kept staying together. And it's not because we weren't looking for others. Trust me, others came his way and my way. But I, like you said, you were that grounded. I was always grounded in my relationship. Yeah. And I think it was because I had this calmness of like, well, this is my person. So either he's gonna be with me, or I'm just gonna be single. I had that immediately when I met him, which was a really shocking feeling because I always in the back of my brain was like, well, I'm gonna struggle in relationships because I didn't have a lot of boyfriends because I was a nervous, nerdy girl. I just was. Yeah. I was nervous around boys. I wasn't like, oh, I got this. No, I didn't have none of that. I had perm. I had none of that. So it was like, I guess that groundedness came from meeting this person and being like, oh, shoot.
This person
this
made me
is what it
feel,
is.
Yeah.
I have no idea why. I really can't explain it. And I actually feel sometimes bad explaining it. I have a couple of nieces that are in their 20s and stuff like that. And friends' kids and stuff like that. When they asked that, I was like, please don't try to look for that because I wasn't looking for that. Yeah. Because it sounds impossible. It's not impossible, but it is it was very jolting. Very jolting to then have that at a young age and then stick it out. And we made it through so far.
And yes, and you have a beautiful baby boy with the best head of hair in the business. Baby Mav.
Yes, we do. We ended up getting married, all the wonderful things. We produce and write together. We do a lot of stuff together. He's always been the person at the end of the day. This could make me tear up, but this is only because I want this for everyone. At the end of the day, when everyone else has said no, he always says yes. And I don't mean like to get my way.
Baby. Yeah.
Just me in an industry where all you hear is no. And you're like, what the hell? I'm not that great at all. And
I think it was profound with what he said to you is like, why are you trying for something that, is dimming your light rather than, and that's exactly the kind of partner you want.
You do.
That makes you glow inside.
Yes. And I will say this.
And it doesn't mean that like it's not tough at times. I was just gonna say, where we battle it out.
I literally was just gonna be like, with all that wonderfulness, let me say this. Yeah. It is so much work. It is hard work. We work every day in our relationship, and I mean, like, one therapist once said to me, but it's the work you want to do. And I was like, yeah.
And
that's the best way to describe it.
And we support therapy, as you've heard twice now.
We'll promote that shit.
Yes.
But let me
promote that shit. That's what my therapist tried.
We will. But let me ask you this, Sarah. Okay. Your wonderful fiance, Chad, who I adore. You said you had a roster. And that makes me giggle.
I think
I'm turning stop rostering. Is that a word?
Yes.
Rostering?
So I would say I'm literally hiding my face in this moment.
I saw that. I'm like, where's she going?
So I would say and it's a funny joke, but I was the girl that I have an older brother. I was just buddies with all the guys. Like I was the girl that hung out with all the guys. Yeah. I was better with, I think, I'm even thinking when I was younger, like I played co-ed sports. I loved playing co-ed soccer.
The confidence on this kid. I love it. Yeah. I love it.
And like, honestly, I'll never forget, like I got bullied the first time because I think I was a more confident standout. Like I would wear, they call me Blossom because I wore bright leggings with hats and stuff. But also like one of the guys, his name is, I don't even want to give him a name because I feel like I should put it out there. But like in 6th grade, he was the older one. Then he had a crush on me. And then all the girls was like, oh, Sarah's the worst. Sarah's a biatch or something like that. And I hope I'm not like just putting myself out there as, sorry, I don't want, but like I really wanted people to like me, even though I was like bold, but I also like, I would go out and do theater. I was a nerd. I am a nerd.
Right.
Like for sure.
Yeah.
But I also wasn't afraid to be myself individually.
Yes. In an early age, which says a testament to the person you are. We're all okay with being ourselves older in life.
I wear hats a lot.
Yeah, but
it's choices.
But as a child, to have that confidence, that's wonderful. Give yourself that credit.
But it was hard when it was hard. Like
sure,
when everybody wants to be in cliques, I wasn't, and so then I chopped off my hair. I like dyed it dark. I was super emo, but I held on tight to my theater community, which was all wallflowers, right? We were all different, and I wasn't going to become like everybody else, but I did feel less. I felt that, so I got a hard taste of being like everybody else. But anyway, we're talking about boys and my roster. But I was just thinking about, I love being authentic. I love authentic people and being who you are. But sometimes you have to sometimes it really hurts and you have to overcome. And I thought as a kid in junior high, I would never go back to that age because that was the time where I was like holding on tight to who I was. But they also broke down that authentic confidence. So I would say, there were a lot of layers in my mind right then. I enjoy meeting people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I enjoyed my time. Yeah. I enjoyed my time in college.
You're supposed to.
I like going on dates.
But I love that because I now look, but not that I regret Tom or anything, but I have these moments where I'm like, oh shit, I didn't do that thing.
Yeah.
That thing.
But I also had I had moments where people where I met and I was like, oh, I like that person. And then like I was in a long-term relationship and that person in their 20s and we're still good friends or we still definitely talk. He just got married this week, ironically, to someone with the same name, which is just so funny.
No words.
But I say, and this is something, you knew me in my 20s and you still and we went through stuff and we were young and finding out who we were. And I can't imagine so many people in a different world, in a different relationship who meet in their 20s. And like, I think of who I am now. And if I had married that person in my 20s, you better hold on to that roller coaster because she was going to go,
no, it's true.
And so I know that's what you were saying is that like, there was a lot of work, but you knew it in your core that was grounding you.
Yes.
For me, I felt panicked, right? In that moment of like, I have still so much to do. Yeah. I want to go to California. I want to meet people. I want to have these different relationships. And then I had that one relationship that destroyed me, like that was like
most
fireworks.
Do. Yeah.
My mother called it, oh God, where they hung from the chandelier.
Sounds fun.
War of Roses.
Oh, yes.
So basically it was like, and I still, you think about that person and what that would have been in itself, right? And that was a younger relationship, but I was broken. I'll never forget. I was like on the floor crying and in Los Angeles when it was a tough relationship. And then came the comedian. And then there was all, anyway, I would say.
Maybe we'll do an episode on that.
But I enjoyed having those people in my life to then have the moment where the day I met Chad, I had moved from LA to Florida for a job that relocated me. I cried sobbing leaving Los Angeles because I loved it. But then I got the job, found out I was going to be an aunt for the second time, which felt like fate. Yeah. So it's something in me, and I think you'll hear when I talk about my life, I do really believe in fate and moving you in certain ways and jumping into the deep end and knowing there will be these moments of aha where you're like, oh no, I'm supposed to be here. When I found out Janice was pregnant with Maddie, who is, I feel like I'm looking in the mirror sometimes with her, which is funny as an aunt, right? It's not my daughter, but I still feel like, oh, sorry, hold on with this one.
Of course.
She's a riot. But when I met Chad, it was a day, I was working at a jewelry network and I was working like crazy. We were 3 hours live on TV. I was like a prune after working after those shows. They were exhausting. A show was 3 hours, just me. So just but I've said it was it was more exhausting than Shakespeare.
100%.
And I was like, I have a me day. I'm having this ultimate me day. So, and I took myself to Botanical Gardens, Modern Art Museum. This is a long story short. It was all about me. And I met this guy. I saw him timing, and it was just like that. I felt like our souls knew each other. Mm-hmm. And I said, I already know you on our first date, but I just feel like I need to ask you questions because we have to really know each other.
We're supposed to do that.
And so now it's been 7 years, but it's wild how someone can take, like I talked about, these sparkly things, right? Where you think and this is, I think, something in this time in the world that you can meet people on social media and you can have a relationship from all over the world, but there's availability. Yeah. You can date and I think you can meet people and people maybe aren't as good in relationships, maybe based off that, but like Chad, I like the like horse shutters. Yeah. What do you call this? Where I saw him,
vision.
And it was in a beautiful way, and not like and that's how I feel like Chad and I have gone through so much. We've gone through the death of both our fathers. We've gone through just a lot in our lives. We did long distance for a bit.
Such a short time, and I'm not
in
saying
7 years,
is
and
short,
we'll get to
'cause
that.
7 years is long, but you've been through enough that is a 20-year relationship.
I might have not have been as eloquent as I could with everything that I just said, but when the moment hits you, like. Yeah, I'm grateful for everything I learned. And I think Chad and I probably would say this. I think he would say the same. It's like, we have our past for a reason, to have this moment, to be a better partner. And doesn't mean I'm not still evolving, especially 100%. These 7 years, and especially after death, or doing long distance, or even just at this age of keeping it, or just had longevity of like keeping it fresh, keeping it exciting, keeping it that you are my partner. I choose you. I love you. There will be things that we always have to overcome. Yeah. A relationship has you have to be willing to be there. But last night we were sitting on the couch watching the last episode of Stranger Things. Again, we just watched it again. And it's just like, I'm sitting there laying on him, the puppy dog's with us. And it's just like, after all these crazy things we get to do in our lives, there's nothing as beautiful as that moment.
Yes. I love that.
Other than when you have a standing ovation. There's a great, I'm just joking. There's this great line in Janis Joplin's musical. And I thought I'll never forget it. I saw it pre-Broadway, Pasadena Theater. And this is not what I mean for Chad and I. I'm very happy and but I thought it was a very interesting thing for a performer. Janis Joplin and the gentleman she was dating at the time in the theater, the performance, she goes off stage and I guess they're battling or something. And she had just performed and the audience was outside giving her a standing ovation. And she said to her, the guy she was, I guess, maybe breaking up with, and she goes, "Yeah, but can you do that?" And she pointed at the crowd. Wow, and that's an interesting thing.
Some power right there.
But that's an interesting thing as someone that was for so long filled by that kind of celebration with performing, to also remember the authentic relationships with your partner. I think that's another whole conversation of like.
That is a whole other conversation. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
I think you also change your priorities at a certain point. And I feel like I found that. Yeah. And I think that I'm grateful Chad met me when he met me, because my priorities had changed.
Yeah, and I think, yes, I totally get it. And I think, too, like, the highs are in this business of entertainment, no matter what side of the coin you're on, whether it's you're on in front of the camera, behind the camera, on the stage, off the stage, the highs can't be too high and the lows can't be too low. And your personal relationship always has to be the constant. And that took me a bit to learn. Yeah. But once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. And then it's like, oh, this is what actually keeps me sane. This, like you said, on the couch watching TV with the dog. And that is the constant. Yeah. And if that remains the constant, then the highs and the lows of the stupidity and the wonderfulness of the business won't throw you.
Do you feel like you and Tom are similar personalities? Like, I know that Chad is steadfast and I am, obviously it's yin and yang. We change, but it's funny because I always thought I was just fully extroverted, but now I'm realizing I am definitely introverted, extroverted, where I need my time to recharge. Yeah. And I traditionally think Chad to be an introvert, but then sometimes when we go out, he's the one ruling the conversation. Because I find that because Tom is very extroverted.
Oh,
he
Tom's
loves
completely extroverted. Yeah, way more than me actually. Because when people meet us, they're like, "So he's an actor?" I'm like, "Jesus Christ, I'm not the actor."
Well, let me tell you,
he looks like an actor and everything.
When we were at the baby reveal, and he was doing jazz leaps across 100%. The dance floor. It made my heart very happy.
Tall, very straight. Some people, I have to say that. Husband loves to dance and is a great dancer.
Chad likes jam bands and does a good wiggle. Chad's a brewer.
He is a brewer.
By trade. A brewer. He does beer, and now he's a production manager for Kane. Shout out for Kane. But Candace, I think we did talk.
So now they know us.
You think?
There's so much more.
We grazed the surface.
This is the first episode.
Do we have to edit anything down? We'll see.
We'll try. This is not going to be every episode, but we figured for the first one, let's give them a treat. And we'll just talk about us and who we are. And we
didn't even talk about wrestling.
Oh, wrestling. We didn't go into it really.
Yeah. Well, it was a little getting to, if we get there. Don't start. It's another whole hour. So Candace,
And then we have some guests. We'll go through those at some point.
Oh, coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They better hold on, too. Get ready for a wild ride.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. We need to have a sign-off, but we have to figure out what that sign-off is.
I love you, babe.
Oh, I love you. That's so cheesy, and I'll take it.
I meant it, though. I think the thing that's really cool about having a friendship, but also for as long as we have, but all the importance of female friendship is why we're doing this. And it's like, we talked about regrets of friends and stuff. And it's like, you need to know where you put people in different categories. I used to do this in LA. There's different folders for different friends. And our folders is a book that we're continuing to write.
Yeah, I love that.
All right. I'll see you next time on the couch.
Yeah, I gotta pee. I feel like we've been talking a bit. Thanks for joining us today.
You can follow us on Instagram at Don't Start Podcast.
Or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
And we'll see you next time, friends.
Don't Start is produced by Anthony Street Productions.